Hi, yes, Heaven. I'm sorry I can't be with you for your lesson today. I've just made a short video to show you what we're going to be doing today. So last lesson you decided on two emotions. The examples I gave you were sorrow and joy, and then for each one you had to pick a palette of colors that you felt represented that emotion. So for sorrow I chose deep forest brown. Deep in the forest on your own, you might be a little bit scared. Winter sea mist, when it's misty and you don't know where you're going. Sorrow feels a little bit like that. Storm grey blue, sad fawn, dark damp moss, lonely cold winter green, and dismal mushroom. Once you've chosen those colours, they do all look quite sorrowful, but depending on how we put them together might change them. So I have got a blue colour here. It doesn't necessarily mean I want my sky to be blue. I think if I put that blue in my sky, it might be a little bit too much of a cheerful blue, because on its own that's not a dismal colour, but with some of these others it sort of looks a little bit more sorrowful. So I think I'm going to go with this sort of mushroomy colour and this purple colour. I think I might use those two in my sky. Obviously, having made little bits of colour, now you have to make bigger areas of colour. When you're painting a landscape, remember we're always going to start at the horizon. The horizon is the point furthest away from us, so it's going to be light. So what I'm going to do, I'll just put my water jar there, is I'm going to actually start by just putting a little bit of water. My brush was a little bit dirty with that purpley colour. And you'll see I'm not putting a big puddle of water, but then when I go into my mushroomy, sad fawn or dismal mushroom colour, when I put it on the water, already it's going to be quite nice and light. And I want my sky to be light near the bottom because it's far away and things get lighter when they're further away. Then I might just start adding a little bit of darker colour. I still think that because this colour is a little bit warm, it's maybe not sorrowful enough, so then I'm going to mix it with some of this purpley blue, so you don't have to stay completely with one colour in your sky. And I'm going to start mixing in a little bit of darker areas. Don't paint over and over the same area. Try and put your colour on and leave it. I mean, if you've put the wrong colour on, you can go over it, but if you paint too much over and over and over, your paper will start to disintegrate, and you don't really want that to happen. So now I've added a little bit of that blue into my sky because I want my sky to get darker as I go up. So with that purpley colour that I had, I'm going to put a little bit more of that blue into it, into my fawn colour, and make it much darker. Obviously I want my sky to be dark up at the top. I might want to actually paint my sky with much more sort of vivid marks, or if I was painting an angry sky, maybe I'd want to see some of those brush marks or what have you. But I think for my sorrowful sky, I want to keep it quite sort of watery and sad, I guess. I think it is a sad sort of sky, and I'm going to get much darker up at the top just because sky up at the top, which is essentially the sky overhead, has much more color. But you can see dark to light, that's my sky. Then I'm going to use, again, I'm going to now go from the horizon down the top of my mountain. I might go for that winter sea mist on my mountain, and I'm going to paint it quite lightly. You can see how I'm just dragging the color along with my brush. I'm going to start really light on this mountain, I do want to get darker, but I'm just putting a light layer first, because far away I want it to be light, and then as it comes closer, which is here more to the middle ground, I can start adding some of that stronger color. And you can see I haven't got heaps of paint on my brush, and I can still I'm using enough water so that you can see different tones. I want to be able to see different tones in each area that you paint. So don't paint it all one flat color. You want to be able to see different tones. So I've got dark, medium and light. I've got light, medium, getting darker in my sky. That's now my mountain. Then I'm going to go, I think, with this dark bluey color in these clumps of trees, which are just sitting on the at the bottom of that mountain, and I feel like at the bottom of the mountain they might be in a little bit of shadow. So I'm going to make my dark blue that I've got, and I'm going to make these quite dark as if they are sort of silhouettes. And the minute I put that dark in, because it's a nice contrast, it starts to look a little bit more sorrowful. I might add a bit of brown to that blue so that it's not as clean, because clean colors come forward. And I'll put some of those colors in there. For my fields, as I come forward, I might use some of those fawny, browny colors that I've got on my palette, maybe these and maybe a bit of the green, but I want to keep them quite subdued. I don't want to make them too bright. And again, if I'm painting a field, I'm going to start in the front here. I'm going to just put a little bit of color on. Maybe it can be a little bit darker there, but it's still quite far away in the middle ground. Then I'm going to wash my brush, squeeze out the water, and I'm just going to make my field go lighter the further away it is. So in every shape that you paint, whether it's the field or a bush or the mountain, you must have light and dark in there. And when this one, I might do the same with my green that I've got. So putting in some dark, rinsing my brush, squeezing the water out, and then just sort of taking some of the lighter color into there. So I've got light and dark. You're going to paint your whole landscape like this, always thinking of tone, light and dark. You could put texture, so if I was painting my trees in the foreground, obviously anything in the foreground, because it's close to us, is going to be much more intense color, and it's going to we're going to have more detail in terms of texture and what have you. So, and bushes don't have to be green. Again, maybe I'll use that bluey color that I had. I could paint them quite a light blue, and you might be saying, Mrs. Burgess, you said if they were close it was going to be much stronger color. I might paint a light color and then go with my much stronger color on top and start putting a little bit of texture in there. So you can build it up in layers. You don't have to paint each bit one at a time. You know, flat color, you can build it up by layering a texture in dark brown over your green, and then you get these really strong bushes. Maybe I'll put less texture but still dark color in those bushes. And you're going to build up your landscape. This is one I was working on earlier. You can see I've done a little bit more, how these colors are stronger, and each area has got light and dark tone in. So your task for today is to take your emotion, and you want to paint a landscape that when a person looks at it, if it's about sorrow, they will feel a little bit like quiet and a little bit sad looking at it. If it's about joy, the colors will make them feel excited and joyful, but it still has the space of a landscape. So if I painted a landscape, in every single bright color like this and I didn't put tone in those colors, I'd be doing it wrong. Have fun with it.